Advent of the Worm. Yeah, we're super big Naya here between Davis and Gerhart. So both these players sitting at 4-0.
Yeah, and this is kind of a similar matchup that we saw BBD play out, except this time it's Naya instead of Jund. But still, black-green Constellation against a basically red-green monster deck splashing a color. And obviously in BBD's matchup, he just couldn't contend with all the dragons and the planeswalkers and gods. This time around, it looks like it's a little bit better position for the black-green deck.
Game number 3, we'll take a look at the board here for you. Of course, our Crewfix did just come in. Godless Shrine is the top card. Brain Maggot is taking, it looks like a Stormbreath Dragon right now. You see the lands here for Gerhart, a Swamp, a Forest, and a Temple Guard, and of course a Mana Bloom out there as well, part of the engine, with Doom Wake Giant and Eidolon Blossoms. He's going to gain a life, reveal a Banishing Light. Godless Shrine will come into play tapped. On Brad Davis's side, he's got a couple temples out there, a couple dual lands to fix all that mana. Of course, our Crewfix revealing an Advent of the Worm that's going to go to his hand. Now you see a Stomping Ground. That'll probably come into play here in just a minute. And then 2 copies of Sylvan Carrington.
Yeah, so Kevin has a Doomwake Giant in his hand, so if he can get it to resolve next turn, he could potentially wrath Brad's side of the board. Unfortunately, it looks like Brad does have Amizium Mortars. So an overload of Amizium Mortars would deal with both the Corsair Crewfix and the Brain Maggot, getting back his Stormbreath Dragon.
Corsair runs in to Corsair. Stomping Ground going to come into play tap. Brad Davis going to gain a life. He's up to 20. Top card is a Banishing Light. A little Banishing Light standoff right now.
This feels like Theros block.
Just going to pass the turn back with the ability to cast Advent of the Worm, which Gerhart does know about from Corsair. Gerhart does draw a copy of Banishing Light and going to turn over a Brain Maggot.
So that was fortunate for Kevin there. He didn't lose 2 of his creatures, so now if he does cast Doomwake Giant, it could potentially be -4/-4, because there are 3 other enchantments in play. So I believe even though Brad has an Advent of the Worm, still not a bad position for Kevin here if he can get that to resolve. He does have 5 mana with the Mana Bloom.
Oh, Mana Bloom.
Oh, Mana Bloom.
There you do see Doomwake Giant. Another in his battlefield. Creatures your opponent's control get -1/-1 until end of turn. So, interesting card there, the old Doomwake Giant.
Oh, for some reason I thought it was for other enchantment in play. That's much worse than I thought.
Yeah, I was going to say, that card would be way too good. The one thing I didn't know is that it's a 4/6. It's actually bigger than I thought it was. I thought it was a 4/4 for some reason.
Yeah, as a 4/6, it's pretty sweet. But again, not nearly as impressive as I thought.
Yeah, come in, wrath your stuff, go. I mean, it's good.
It's good.
It's good, but come on now.
It looks like he has a Doomblade in his hand, so he'll be able to deal with either the Advent of the Worm or any other potential creatures that Brad has here.
And there's also Hero's Downfall hanging out over there as well. Sacred Finder going to come in for Davis, up to 21 he goes. Top card is in Amizium Mortars. Now, I don't know if Gerhart knows about the one that's in Davis's hand right now, but he certainly knows about the one that's on top of the deck. And it looks like he's going to cast Amizium Mortars right now, and he will. It's on the Brain Maggot. Stormbreath Dragon going to come back to the grip. And now you see Davis is making a move. He wants to cast the Stormbreath Dragon.
Yeah, pretty good turn here. Get in with the Advent of the Worm token and the Stormbreath Dragon, along with the Corsair. Put a little more pressure on Kevin.
Yeah, it might not be as good as you think, though, because you can put Corsair in front of Corsair. You can cast a Doomblade, and then a Mana Bloom can actually help to cast either the Doomblade or the Hero's Downfall. So he's able to cast all of these spells, get these creatures off the table, and actually take no damage. It's actually not a bad turn at all.
Yeah, so not a bad turn. He dealt with all of Brad's major threats.
Yeah.
And he still has a Brain Maggot that he can draw this turn.
Top card for Gerhart is a Banishing Light. He's looking for lands. He's not finding them right now. Mana Bloom is trying to help, though. Going to come in with the Corsair. Will Gerhart. Davis is going to go down to 19.
Yeah, and this is kind of the awkward thing with this deck is if you don't get an Eidolon of Blossoms in play, it's basically you're playing a lot of somewhat underpowered cards.
Yeah,
You can't really compete with like Stormbreath Dragon or Polychronos when you're just playing enchantments. But looks like Kevin here, it's kind of tough for him because he knows about the Banishing Light in Brad's hand. He also knows there's a Amizium Mortars on top of Kevin's deck. So
Davis is going to draw that Amizium Mortars. Top card now is Goreplan Rampager. That's something to be aware of now too as well. The one thing about Corsair, though, is that it provides you with the information. Like, you know, Gerhart probably has a good idea of every card in Davis's hand right now, and the same can be said for Davis of Gerhart's.
Yeah, and given how, yeah, because with the giant in play now, and Brad knows that there's a mana bloom in Kevin's hand, he has to be somewhat concerned that Kevin could potentially play, 3, maybe even 4 enchantments in one turn. So maybe do I just Banishing Light the Doomwake Giant right now? But I don't know. He has to be concerned about being able to actually attack Kevin. He doesn't have a lot of. I don't think he has a lot of threats left. He's got that Grand Rampager on top of his deck, but yeah, it looks like he doesn't have a major threat left in his hand. So that's what he does. He attacks Corsair Crewfix into Doomwake Giant, and now he just overloads Misery Mortars, killing both Kevin's Corsair Crewfix along with that Doomwake Giant.
Now, Kevin knew that's something that could happen, so presumably he's fine with that exchange. And that might be the reason why. It's because of Eidolon. He needs to start maybe trying to put this engine together. There's Mana Bloom. Draw a card with the Eidolon. And this is what you talked about, where this deck is much different when it has Eidolon opposed to when it doesn't.
Yeah, it's such a much better streamlined deck when Eidolon's in play, obviously. And now Brad expended a lot of his removal already, so it's going to be interesting to see whether or not he can kind of overcome that engine.
Yeah, we know about the Banishing Light over there in Brad's hand that he can use to take care of the Eidolon. The question, does he want to actually use Banishing Light on Eidolon or a real card? And apparently he does not want to use it on Eidolon. So Mana Bloom's going to go back to the grip. It looks like Kevin's going to have the opportunity to draw even more cards now. He drew a copy of the Banishing Light. He's going to start, however, with Mana Bloom. 1 mana, draw a card.
Yeah, and Brad knows that Kevin had a Banishing Light in his hand because it was revealed from Corsair before. So even if he did Banishing Light to Corsair, the Eidolon, Kevin could just cast the Banishing Light on the Banishing Light. It's not like the Tension Sphere.
So I was a little iffy on Eidolon of Blossoms. I'm a fan already.
It's really good.
Look at all these cards. I'm a fan already. Banishing Light taking down the Rampager for right now. Davis is going to draw a card. Might want to get that Eidolon off the table.
It's just so hard to deal with once it gets going. You expend all your resources on like other cards like Corsair, and then all of a sudden the Eidolon comes into play and you don't have any removal left, and you're just like, uh-oh, now I'm in real trouble. I mean, you can't really blame him. He used the Misery Mortars to kill 2 creatures, but...
There's Fleeceman line.
Yeah,
Kevin kind of shrugs and he says, that's fine. You see Brad's going to reorganize his mana here a little bit. He's got a Mana Confluence and 1 other card in his hand. He's just going to go Monstrosity on this Fleeceman line.
Yeah, so Monstrous Fleeceman line. He still has enough mana to cast a Banishing Light if he wants to try to go after that Eidolon of Blossoms now.
The question is, do you go after that or do you go after the Banishing Light or your Rampager? I think you almost have to cast the Banishing Light now. I don't think you can keep waiting. The question is, what's the bigger problem?
Yeah, like if you're not going to cast it, what are you exactly waiting for?
Yeah.
Like, what is the point of the Banished Light in your hand?
Looks like he's going to take 1.
Eidolon of Blossoms is by far the biggest threat in Kevin's deck. You can't be afraid that it's not going to stick around.
There's Banishing Light. What's the target going to be? And you can tell he's not sure. It's not Mana Bloom.
I don't think it's Mana Bloom.
I don't think it's Mana
Although
Bloom.
it is somewhat of a problematic card right here.
He wants his creature back. All right, says I'm not scared of Eidolon. Take a draw.
Yeah, and he knows that Kevin has a Banishing Light. He doesn't know that Kevin also has an Abrupt Decay, so pretty good situation for Kevin right here. Yeah, I could see Kevin. Yeah, I could see just Kevin casting Abrupt Decay on the Banishing Light.
Pretty good turn.
And then if Banishing Light comes into play, I'll take out the Gorkline Rampager again.
Oh, there's Corsair. Trigger. Draw. What's this card? There's a land. That's what he's looking for. He got the Shrine, even though you might have to take 2 and actually 1 because of the Corsair trigger. But what he wants now is land so he can just keep chaining off.
Yeah, I think he's got a couple of copies of Doomwake Giant in his hand. That's a pretty good blocker against Fleeceman Lion. So yeah, he's going to take 2 damage and then gain 1 from Corsair.
What do you think about this deck for Vintage Rotisserie? This Constellation deck.
I feel like it's got something going. You get Argothian Enchantress Presence.
Banishing Light's going to come in. He's going to draw a card. And so we're going to make sure we get this all stacked correctly.
Oh, wow. So it looks like he's going to cast Banishing Light on Brad's Banishing Light, getting his Banishing Light back. So he draws 2 cards,
Oh,
basically.
you see it now. Oh, we're doing it. It's happening. Actually, I can only, yeah, I can't target anything else in play. It has to target the Rampager. Now the question for Kevin is, okay, how big of a problem is this Fleece main line?
He has to reveal a card with Courser.
Yeah. That's really about it. I mean, he's got 1,000,000 cards in his hand. He's already played his land for the turn. There's the top card. It's an Overgrown Tomb. And again, I think that all he really cares about is just lands.
I think he just forgot to draw a card off of one of the Banishing Lights.
Yeah.
So, okay,
Yep.
That's what they're confirming. Yeah.
Yeah, he just wants to make sure everything is okay. Overgrown Tomb goes to the Grip Forest on top. So now he's found his lands, even untap one in the forest for next turn. His life total's pretty high. So now the big question is, all right, how can Gerhart actually lose this game? Because he's done a really, really nice job of pulling ahead in cards and staying at a high life total. That's where a card like Aurelia the War Leader shows up.
Well, as long as Kevin doesn't draw an extra card, or Aurelia, yeah.
Yeah, he's got to like dodge Aurelia. He's got to be worried about that at this point. He also has to be a little bit worried about Stormbreath Dragon, because you take a look at his hand, he just doesn't have great answers to it. Going to discard a couple of cards here. Pass the turn back over to Davis. This is a big draw for Brad.
Xenagos plus Gorklan Rampager would be pretty sweet. Xenagos, yeah.
How about Elvish Mystic? No?
Elvish Mystic, not so good.
Not for you? I think he's just going to deploy that. I'm fairly sure those Sylvan Caryatids should be untapped. I don't think he untapped those on his turn, so let's see if we can get that mentioned down to the table.
There's a second copy of Eidolon Blossoms on top of Kevin's deck here. With one card left in Brad's hand, he might cast Brain Maggot here just to see what he's working with.
Get the info.
Although he hasn't played a land yet, so has he played a land yet? I'm not
yet
sure.
For the turn, no.
Yeah, so he could actually cast Doomwake Giant if he has one in his hand. Not sure.
You love Doomway Giant.
I do not, actually. I do not like that card very much.
Mana Bloom. Gonna draw the Eidolon. That's the top card now. It's an Overgrown Tomb. The only thing that worries me about this engine, and now that I'm seeing it in full effect, is it seems like it takes you a little while to close the game out.
Yeah, that's
because you're not attacking for a bunch.
You're not attacking. You're just drawing a bunch of cards, and you could still get blown out by Mizzy Morris.
I mean, we're having a ball here. Like the second Eidolon comes into play. Now we're drawing 2, and Courser's making it, fun. Now there's a Hero's Downfall to kind of cut out the Stormbreath Dragon Aurelia out for Brad Davis, even though it's not in Gerhart's hand yet.
I mean, let's face facts. If Brad draws a Mizzy Mortis, it's not the greatest situation for Kevin.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Let's see what Brad draws.
Yeah, the deck just needs a way to close. Like, it just can't close out games very quickly.
And presumably that's Doomway Giant's job, being a 4/6.
That's so awkward. Imagine your closeout creature is a 5-mana 4/6. Like, that's my bomb. That's the top of the curve. We've gone from Baneslayer to Doomwake Giant.
There's a Gorklan Rampager. Gerhart.
And you see, I don't quite understand playing the Gorklan Rampager there. Obviously, you might be afraid of Brain Maggot, but isn't one of your best options to, like, kill his board and win with your Hexproof creature? Like, your Hexproof creature is the only way that you can kind of win this game, right?
Yeah, I think also you can just take him by surprise with the Rampager too.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're exposing yourself a little bit to Brain Maggot, but like Kevin's at 8, you have a 4/4 Hexproof creature in play. I think your best shot is to just keep your Rampager in your hand.
There's an Elspeth. Now we're really doing it. But even Elspeth is like, you keep mentioning Mortars. I keep thinking about that too. Like, even if he plays an Elspeth, like, okay, that's fine. That's good. Don't get me wrong.
Like, if Brad top decked Mortars and he had the Rampager in his hand, Kevin's dead.
Yeah.
You know? But let's see what he decides to do here. Yeah, I think if Brad didn't play the Gorklan Rampager, I'd say he has a shot, maybe. Now it's going to be really tough, though.
Gerhart's going to go up to 9 from playing that Overgrown Tomb tap. You see the top card with Sexton Sylvan Caryatid.
Yeah, he's got that Elspeth, but he's not going to be able to cast it this turn. There's not enough mana.
Brain Maggot doesn't do very much. Looks like he's going to just discard that. And again, yeah, the closing is the problem here, because he can't even attack because of Sylvan Caryatids.
Yeah. So let's see here. Is he going to start chump blocking this Fleece main line so he doesn't go below? He doesn't want to go that low.
He doesn't have to worry about a fireball effect so much, but there's not like a devil's play or the actual disintegrator fireball. Like that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But the fireball effects are Stormbreath Dragon and Aurelia, and because we joined Game 3 in progress, like you don't know if Kevin saw those or not. But I think he has to assume, okay, you're playing a red deck that's mid-range. All right, you have Stormbreath Dragon in your deck. We don't know if he knows about Aurelia, which is basically 6 mana, deal 6.
Well, the other thing is Brad's 1 mana away from being able to cast Stormbreath Dragon and Monstrous it in the same turn.
Yeah.
So if Kevin's not careful, he could just die to that.
Yep.
Like Brad doesn't have to Monstrous it until Kevin gives him the open window. Like he's not going to Monstrous it and play into Hero's Downfall. But like Stormbreath Dragon Monstrous is still an out for him as well. He's, I think, 1 mana off right now.
Fleeceman line got chump blocked by the Courser. Well, it looks like Gerhart might lead his turn off with a Brain Maggot. We'll see. He's got Elspeth over there. He's going to play his first land for the turn. He's not going to gain any life. This is Elspeth, Sun's champion. And Davis shrugs his shoulders, says nothing I can do about that. So that'll likely tick up, provide some tokens.
Yeah, and he's probably not going to cast anything else this turn because he doesn't want to. He wants to leave Hero's Downfall mana up. So it's fairly. Despite doing all this stuff, he's not really. He's basically just has 3 blockers, and if Brad had that Rampager, the whole game's a lot different.
Advent of the Worm was the draw. He's going to play a Mana Confluence, will Brad. I can understand why leave Hero's Downfall in this situation. That's for sure.
Wow, so if Brad goes Advent of the Worm at the end of the turn and he draws a Stormbreath Dragon, if Kevin uses that, it looks like he has an Abrupt Decay as well. So
this is a lot of mana.
Oh,
Aurelia.
Oh, Hero's Downfall.
Yeah, you're not going to get him. Hero's Downfall is going to take that thing down.
All right.
And we're going to attack here. Yeah, that's going to get chump blocked immediately. Pass the turn back. Gerhart's going to untap with all these lands, take a draw. Gets to use Elspeth this turn. Hasn't cast Mana Bloom in a little while. Does have that in his hand. That would draw 2 cards.
Oh, that sweet Mana Bloom. That's sweet, sweet Mana Bloom. 1 mana, draw 2 cards.
5 mana, how about a Doomweight Giant? So that's going to come in and -1/-1 stuff. That's going to get that off the table. Take a draw. ×2 as it's an enchantment. Courser of Krufix comes rolling off along with a Temple Garden.
So could he possibly cast 3 other enchantments this turn to kill the Fleeceman line? He's got 1 Mana Bloom. He can definitely cast 2.
Together those Mana Blooms, yeah. This is number 2.
So you can at least kill the Carotid, which is good because it turns off the Stormbreath kill.
2, there's a Brain Maggot. What's the top card? Nyx Fleece.
Hello.
That's an enchantment. You better believe it.
That little ram.
All right, what's next? Time in the round for the tournament has been called. You see 3 minutes on the clock here. There's a Mana Bloom. Some triggers here. Nyx Fleece Ram going to go to the grip. This card is immutable. Top card. There's another copy of Nyx Fleece Ram. Gerhart has not played a land yet this turn. Sylvan Caryatids are going to bite the dust. A little floating of the mana here.
So let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, he's way off from the Stormbreath now.
Like a little Doom Wakey going to work.
It's quite impressive.
Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. Here's an Advent of the Worm. Gerhart's going to have to do some discarding here.
Second Aurelia.
That's live. There are 2 in the deck. That's no joke. And Gerhart's going to uptick the Elspeth. 3 soldier tokens coming. Again, the problem here again is that he can't attack.
Well, he's going to get there eventually. Eventually, Elspeth will get the ultimate, I suppose. So, yeah, I don't think it will really matter. Even Aurelia is not enough damage at this point.
All right. What can Brad Davis find? Draw a card.
Mizzy Mortars wouldn't be that bad.
It's fine.
It's still fine.
I actually think it's good. Yeah,
oh, wow.
Okay. I actually think it's good.
Well, because the Doomwake Giant has 4 damage on it, so the trample from the Advent of the Worm would actually go over. Yeah, so it would take 3, 7. Yeah. So he could actually kill the. No, he can't kill Elspeth, but he can actually do a lot of damage to Kevin.
I think he has to go after Kevin. I don't think he can care about Elspeth at this point.
No, no.
Because what he can do here is he attacks with both of the creatures. You mentioned the trample. There's 4 damage on the Doomweight Giant. Doomweight Giant can't beat Advent of the Worm in combat anyway. He is going to go after the Elspeth. Yeah, no blocks. No blocks.
Wow.
I'm a little
surprising.
surprised he went that way. Mana Blue's going to go back to the grip for Gerhart. Top card is Nyx Fleece Ram that everybody knows about.
You know, if he had Rampager in his hand, Brad wins this game.
Yeah,
if that Rampager wasn't under a Banishing Light.
There's Doomweight Giant. Oh. It's time to kill a bunch of things. Nyx Fleece Ram triggers.
So I believe that's 4. So I think
Triggers.
I think the Policeman was already dead. Yeah. So
Yeah. Doomwakes have cleared things up here. Now, see, before I thought that Brad could come back. I don't think he can now. Yeah, he's going to extend the hand. Kevin Gerhart's going to win this match over Brad Davis. 2 games to 1. He has 5-0 with black-green constellation. Very, very close to what Brian Braun to win is playing in this tournament. I know that BBD was X1 coming into the round, and Kevin is now 5-0.